Call the meeting to order at 7:01. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first order of business is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Our next order of business is the approval of the open session minutes of April 8th, 2019. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the open session minutes of April 8, 2019.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? None edits to Kelly. Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved unanimously. Next, we're moving to student comments. Welcome to Owen, and what wonderful things are happening at Nipmuc.
All right, well, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for allowing me to give you guys this update this evening. So my name, as you know, is Owen Brigham. I'm the co-secretary of the sophomore class's executive board. And yeah, so I'd like to present to you the updates from, well, first of all, several student trips that have taken place over the past few weeks. Over April vacation, 35 students, myself included, went to the Galapagos Islands where they explored the city. They snorkeled, hiked, and explored the cuisine of the islands, which included guinea pig, which tastes a lot like old turkey. So there's, yeah, it's pretty gamey. Yeah,
It
funky.
doesn't just taste like chicken.
Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime thing. So last week, 4 students traveled with Mr. Gorman, to Finland for the innovative conceptual engineering design program. Students had the chance to present at the University of Eastern Finland, explore the city, visit the botanical gardens, try Finnish food, and collaborate with learners from across the globe. Some Nipmuc students who did not travel had the chance to present virtually in Finland through video conferencing. Students also traveled to Helsinki and even made a quick stop in London before returning home on Sunday. This past weekend, 16 students traveled to the DECA International Career Development Conference in Orlando, Florida. They'll be joining 20,000 students from all around the world to compete in their specific categories. The students qualified to compete at the international level by placing within the top 5 at the DECA State Career Development Conferences in March. They will compete in a variety of competitions, including case study presentations as well as comprehensive budget research projects. On Wednesday of last week, Nipmuc conducted a workshop for 32 students who were selected through a blind process to become Nipmuc's first Portrait of a Graduate Scholars. The Portrait of a Graduate Scholars program is a way to share the district's vision for the MURSD Portrait of a Graduate with the hope of telling the story of students' curiosities, interests, growth, and learning, provide a personal understanding of the portrait of a graduate, share the profiles with the community to build understanding and excitement about the future of learning in MURSD, and help our school and community explore the portrait of a graduate. During the workshop, each student captured their uniqueness in connection with the portrait of a graduate by writing personal bios, reflections related to the portrait of a graduate competency, numbers that tell their story, and a meaningful quote. Thank you to Ms. Duncan, who also spent the day with the group capturing students' unique personalities through personal photographs. Nipmuc is looking forward to sharing the profiles of these 32 Portrait of a Graduate Scholars in the upcoming months. Nipmuc is also excited to explore ways to expand this opportunity for reflection and sharing to all students. Finally, on Wednesday of this week, Nipmuc has 3 students graduating from the Blackstone Valley Youth Leadership Academy. These students successfully completed an intense 6-month curriculum, including topics such as motivation, goal setting, and time management. Community involvement is also a major component of the program, as each student is required to develop and carry out a community service project. We are very proud of their accomplishments. Once again, thank you very much for letting me share the student report with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right, next on the agenda, we have community comments. Is there a member of the community who wishes to present anything to the school committee? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to superintendent comments.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Just as a reminder, I think we're looking at the 6th consecutive year, but coming up next week, a week from Thursday, the Spanish Immersion Program and the World Languages Department will be hosting the annual International Night. And it'll be from 5:30 to 7:30. This year's theme is Carnaval 2019, and it's an event that is open to all students in grades K through 8. And I know a lot of you around the table have been to it many, many years. It is an outstanding event, and I strongly encourage attendance. Second item that I have is just I was kicking around a couple days last week with Lori Holloway, who is here, to kind of share some thoughts and experiences. As you know, I think it was about a year ago, you approved the field trip to the Amazon, and it was a very large trip. I think we're talking, pushing 80 parents, students, and 77, okay. And the accounts that I've received from both students and parents and staff members alike was that it was an absolutely amazing experience. So I've asked Lori to kind of just share a couple thoughts and maybe talk about what her thinking is as far as next steps.
Yes, I've got some pictures to share, if I can just airplay this. What room number are we?
It is this funny code DY3V329Q GNRM, of course, very simple. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll disconnect myself. Oh, you already kicked me off. Okay.
All right, good evening. My name is Dr. Krischak. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here tonight. It was a little over a year ago when I brought forth this crazy idea to you. And luckily you gave us our blessing and we continued on this amazing adventure. So just some quick numbers for you. The trip launched on Tuesday, March 6, 2018. 40 people signed up the first night, and the trip was sold out at 80 people less than a week later. The final group consisted of 77 total travelers with 8 teachers/staff chaperones, 26 parents, 43 students, and the breakdown of that is 15 8th graders, 28 7th graders, with a almost 50-50 split male to female ratio. So I just sort of have 3 categories of some pictures to show you. Honestly, we could be here for hours looking at photos. It was an incredible week, super busy. We did some amazing things, but the 3 kind of themes that I wanted to just focus on tonight is culture, adventure, and global connections. So this is a picture of all 77 of us in Quito. We get to visit a beautiful church in the heart of the city. One of my favorite activities was to go to the Outdoor Equator Museum and actually stand on the equator and go back and forth between the northern and the southern hemisphere and say, hey, I'm in winter, hey, I'm in summer. And there's a lot of fun science experiments to do on the actual equator itself. And it was also the opportunity to learn about the indigenous people and Quechua and sort of their cultural heritage, so to speak. On the last day, we went to Otavalo Market, and some of our students, especially our Spanish immersion students, got to practice their Spanish bargaining at the marketplace. We had some fantastic bargainers. One of my 8th graders was boasting that he got 2 items that were $37 each for 7. So we were very impressed with their bargaining skills. Most of the adults didn't have as good as luck as we did. enjoy his llama and his alpaca. We had a chance to visit with a local family and learn about some of their things that they do. So this was her pottery workshop behind her house. Learned about some of the costumes and the ancient art of hunting with a blowgun. We all had a blast trying that out, and the kids were actually very good. It surprisingly wasn't that hard to hit the target. And this was an adventure only some of us tried. It was eating a grub.
Is it alive?
He is back in school. He's basically not one of those students with stomach ailments. The next part of the trip, adventure, which we had every day. This was at sort of the edge of the world, and kids could swing over this big hill with beautiful mountains in the background. So many animals in the wild. These are squirrel monkeys. These are the boats that we had to take to get to our hotel in the jungle. So that was very exciting to turn around the river bend and see our hotel up in the trees. Some of us chose to go zip lining. We thoroughly enjoyed whitewater rafting, and some of my favorite memories I really saw the teams really gel together, the kids work together, help each other out. Kids that were nervous in the beginning of the day were so excited and just really their confidence grew, and it was just so heartwarming to see. One of my 8th graders actually, somehow we were the only raft that practiced water rescue, and no one wanted to do it, so I jumped in. And one of my own 8th graders, actually no, he was a 7th grader, he pulled me up out of the water onto the raft, so that was a big moment for him, and he did a great job. And this was my rafting group, and our guide found these flowers in the trees, and we made funny noses. So just a really great fun day on the water. And lastly, local connections. So this was a local girl who was just watching our group when we went river tubing. One of the most, I think, meaningful adventures for me was to visit the Animal Rescue Center and learn about the work that they're doing and how they're trying to help combat all the illegal wildlife trafficking. And that it's not just, we're taking care of these animals, it's trying to rehabilitate them and to reintroduce them into the wilds. But as we learned, some of the damage they do to these animals prevent them from ever going into the wild again. So if we ever have the opportunity to go back, I would like to continue our work with this foundation. I was just so impressed with everything that they were doing down there. We also had the opportunity to visit 2 local schools. One had only, I think, 23 or 26 students, and the other one was a little bit bigger. So our group really enjoyed interacting with the students, and we brought school supplies and stickers and toys, and really brought a smile to their faces and ours this day. This was snack time. I don't know, a woman with a wheelbarrow showed up on the field for the kids. So they were just great kids. It really made an impact on our students to see their classrooms and to see what these students welcome to join us. We're having an Amazon extravaganza Wednesday, May 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Misco Hill Teachers Room. So students on this trip have been conducting some independent research on a project of their own choosing that they did research for prior to the trip, and also gathered data while they were on tour, and they're going to there to share their projects with you that night if you'd like to come. So all in all, it was a phenomenal week, an incredible experience for everyone involved.
Thank you.
So good, thank you.
Lori, just as a quick follow-up.
Yes.
I think you shared with me that you're planning on doing some type of formal evaluation of everybody that went on the trip vis-a-vis something like a Google survey.
Yes.
Have you gotten some of those results back? And
Yes.
do you have any formative thoughts? I know, it was literally just a week or so ago, but moving forward, doing the trip again,
Sure.
Maybe every year or every other year, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, we had quite the delay in Quito, so we didn't leave till 3 a.m. So I had my laptop with me, so I actually started working on the Google survey that very last day. We were just killing time at the airport, and I sent it out a couple days after we got back. And so far, the feedback from everyone, parents, students, has just been so positive. They had an amazing time. They felt that the trip was so worthwhile, felt very organized, and they're already asking me, when am I going again? We've got 6th graders, and many of the parents are saying, where are you going next? Where are you going next? So my plan, obviously with your blessing, I think this was just such a worthwhile experience, and we've made some really great connections down in Ecuador with the Animal Rescue Center, with the different schools, with all of the people that we met. I would like this to be sort of a Misco Hill thing, so a reoccurring trip every other year, so going again in April 2021, opening it up again to 7th graders, 8th graders, and parents if they'd like to join us. But then also, I would like to do a trip in the summer on the off years. Couple of reasons why. One reason is that we had 80 people sign up for this trip in less than a week blind, not knowing what they were getting into, not knowing if it was going to be a disaster or if we were going to be camping in the woods. So I give them tons of credit for that. But on the same hand, we've got 80 people now coming back saying, I just had the time of my life, talking the trip up, telling all their friends, their family members what an incredible experience they had. And I'm not sure that we can take a group much larger than 80.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that doing
Very
the trip
large.
on the off years might sort of help to pull away from that just a little bit.
Okay. All right.
And the trip on the off years in the summer would be a different destination. I'd like to start with Grand Canyon, so maybe people that were a little nervous about going so far away to South America would be more comfortable with that. Maybe to Alaska one year.
Okay.
We'll see what the demand is there for.
Okay.
This might be a nice opportunity for DC. I don't think we do DC. That would be like a really nice opportunity for a closer by. It's not Ecuador, but it's closer by, and I think it's obviously very educational in nature too. That might be a nice way to squeeze that in.
Yeah, well, we can discuss it further and
Yeah, we can look into
bring
it
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I can add on just on the DC idea with the change in the social studies frameworks next year in 8th grade, we're moving to 8th grade civics. And we have an organization that's coming in to work with our social studies teachers in a training called Close Up on the May date. And they run trips that are very unique in DC. So we're going to kind of get a sampling of what they're all about, knowing that that's something that we could look to in the future to target for our 8th graders. I'm not saying that's something we definitely plan on doing, but there'd be better alignment with the curriculum with that at some point once we have that in the 8th grade too.
It's good to
In
hear.
addition.
It's one of those kind of reoccurring themes that I've heard parents talk about through the years. Why don't we do DC? Why don't we do DC? And so I think it would be incredibly well received if we did do DC.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lori.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, we also have, under my report, an update on the Memorial Playground project and other facility projects. So Jay has kind of really been the lead on this and put together a request for proposal for the resurfacing of the project. If you recall, I want to say back in December, you voted as a committee to formally request the Upton Board of Selectmen to use the Knowlton Trust funds for this project, along with also the upgrade of the security camera system at Memorial. And Jay has an update.
Hi, everybody. All right, so let's start with the playground. Joe's got it in his notes. We opened bids last week. We got 4 bids, which was 3 more than I thought we were going to get, so that was a good thing. I'm in the process right now of vetting the referrals and stuff to make sure that the low bid actually is going to be able to do a good job. So far, everything actually is starting to look good. I've got another day's worth of some phone calls to make, and I think we should be all set there. This is a project that won't get done until the summer. We won't do this until school's out. They're going to completely remove everything there and put a new system in. We're also meeting this week on Wednesday. Ken Schweinier and I are meeting with somebody who does inspections for ADA compliance, because that was, the Upton Board of Selectmen was adamant that we bring it into compliance if it's not. I believe everything is okay, but I will find out for sure on Wednesday. So that's the update on that. The cameras, we kind of added the security cameras in when I went to the Board of Selectmen. It was something that's come up. The system wasn't working, so we had to replace part of it automatically. They agreed to include that in our request for this. That was done over April vacation. Those cameras are in, they're up and running, everything is good on it. So that's the second building that we've been able to bring up into having, a decent set of security camera systems throughout the whole building. The other thing, and I didn't bring it with me, had we been at MISCO, I would have brought it out for you to see. We believe we have solved the MISCO Hill boiler issue, which is a good thing, and unfortunately it turned out it was a needle in a haystack. It was a little metal coupling about this big that had a very small hairline crack right where it joined together, that you can take like a piece of paper and slip it in, but it caused the oil line to lose pressure, and that's what kept making the thing fail.
But there was no leakage out of the crack? Or?
No.
Wow.
No, it was so tiny. It was like the last thing we finally checked before we were like, we don't know what's wrong. And we found this. They replaced that little piece. Unfortunately, it was probably about a $20 piece. So after, all the expenses that we went through to try and get this thing running, it turns out it was something actually relatively minor, but that's the way it works sometimes when you're looking for a little tiny minute thing. We probably won't know for sure till next year, because we're at a point where the boilers are not running as much anymore. But since we've done this work, they've been running perfectly fine, nothing is shut down. So we're pretty positive about that. The Clough water treatment system, DEP just approved the design last week. We got a letter saying that they were all set. We start to work on getting prices on doing that work, and then hopefully we'll get that done by the end of this fiscal year. I'd like to. Because that has to take place. Other than that, facility-wise, we've got an issue. We had an issue here with the boiler. We have these like metal tubes that keep having to be re-welded because they crack. We've done about 8 of them over the years. We've done 2 this year already. We have to do another one there. Other than that, it's just routine maintenance stuff. We're starting to get things up and running for the summer. What else was there, Joe?
No, that's it.
That's it? Did I cover them all?
You did.
Okay.
And
Budget update.
last but not least, you also have in your packet the year-to-date expenditure report. I think it's safe to say that we're not going to run anything more in the snow and ice line.
You say that, but my brother who lives in Denver has got about 8 or 9 inches of snow today, so thanks a lot, Joe.
Stop it.
It's still going to be very tight when it's all said and done. After the cost that we've incurred with the boiler at MISCO, the water treatment system, the various maintenance things that we've gone through, I think we're going to struggle to get through this year, and it's going to be a very tight fit. I think we'll be fine, but much tighter than I like it to be. I always tell people I like to come in 1% under budget. I don't think that's happening this year. I think we're coming in at budget. But we've got about 7 or 8 weeks to go in the fiscal year at this point. Any questions on that?
can't think of a question on that, no.
Okay, that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, next we move to subcommittee updates. Budget subcommittee, FY20 budget update.
So it is my knowledge that some changes have happened within the state funding formula, but I defer to you, Joe, to
Okay.
explain that.
Yeah. So within the last couple weeks, we've had the House first put out its House Ways and Means budget, and then the final budget was approved by the House just on Friday. And as I say in my background notes, to say the least, it is grossly disappointing. The House increased the minimum aid per pupil to $30 per student. If you recall, in the governor's budget, it was $20 per student. So in that, we gained an additional $22,010. The regional transportation was increased statewide to by adding an additional $5 million to it. And estimating the reimbursement rate to about an 80%. So with that increase, we are seeing an increase, at least on paper, of another $21,756. So the net increase from the governor's budget to the House budget is $43,766. And I included straight off DOR's website in your packet, the cherry sheet. I think the overwhelming majority, if not all of my colleagues, have the same disappointment in the House budget that we do from our perspective. I know a lot of you, if not all of you, are on the school committee, Massachusetts Association of School Committee listserv, and therefore you probably saw within the last couple of weeks some of the emails that went through that talked about the various amendments. So I think there was literally something like 1,000 amendments to the House budget, and highlighted were the education amendments. And there were amendments to up the minimum to $100 per pupil. There were amendments to have full reimbursement of, 100% reimbursement of regional transportation. There was other amendments around circuit breaker and so on. And sadly, none of those amendments were approved. If you also followed some of it, it seems like the amendment process was very much done as a closed door process. It wasn't very open. So it's very unfortunate. We still hold on to around May 10th or so. The Senate budget is released, and traditionally things do get better as it progresses through the process. I also put in the background notes some of the pieces around the expenditure side. Right now, in the negotiation process, we're at 2.9% for our increase for next year with Harvard Pilgrim Health. If you recall, the certified budget is certified at 5% increase, so down to 2.9 represents an additional savings of about a little under $79,000. And then we know, because April 1st is the deadline for Norfolk Aggie acceptances, that we'll have 2 fewer students. So as a result, with $27,000 per student, that's an additional $54,000 that we could take off that expenditure. So I'll start bad news. The bad news is we still have a deficit right now of about $217,000 from level services. The good news is it's moving in the right direction. If you recall, we were a little over $400,000 back in March. So I will keep you apprised at every single meeting as we progress through this process through June. Okay? I'll show one more thing. I know some of you might have seen this already. We've been trying to put this out on social media. But again, I think the town of Upton has done an exemplary job in putting together these short 2-minute videos and trying to pique interest within the community to attend the town meeting this Thursday. Again, a reminder, Upton's town meeting is Thursday evening here at Nipmuc at 7, and Mendon's is Friday at Misco at 7 as well. But I thought I'd share with you the video that we shot 3 weeks ago that kind of lays out next year's budget for the regional school district. Hi, I'm Joe Maruschek, proud superintendent of the Mendon Upton Regional School District. I'm here to say thank you for all of your ongoing support. Because of your support, our district and our students have never performed at a higher level. From awards and accolades, such as the district being named as an AP Honor District by the College Board, to our district being a Green Ribbon District by the U.S. Department of Education, to Nipmuc Regional High School being one of Newsweek magazine's top 500 high schools across America. Never have our students done better academically, in extra and co-curricular activities, and on the athletic playing field. And it's because of your support. We are deeply committed to the vision of a portrait of a graduate as detailed in our brand new strategic plan, Inspire. We want all of our students to have deep and powerful learning opportunities so that they are mindful learners, global citizens, solution seekers, effective communicators, inspired innovators, and skillful collaborators. These are the essential competencies that all of our students need to be successful in a 21st century economy. The proposed FY 2020 MURSD budget is $36,262,281, which is a 2.57% increase over the current year's budget. It is strictly a level services budget that is keeping in place programs, services, and staff that we currently have. Unfortunately, the district continues to be in a challenging place with regard to the state budget. As for FY 2020, we actually are receiving less state aid than we are in the current fiscal year. As a result, the onus for any operational increase falls on our 2 communities. For FY 2020, each of our communities has committed to funding the minimum local contribution increase. That is the minimum increase as defined by the state's funding formula. For the town of Upton, this is an increase of $592,741, or a 5.33% increase in the operational assessment. I realize that this is a significant increase. However, we have a challenge with state funding, as both of our communities, Mendon and Upton, continue to be below something known as target share, or the percentage that the state funding formula says that each town must contribute to public education. For more information on this and the entire MURSD budget, please go to our website, www.mursd.org. As always, thank you for your engagement and thank you for your ongoing support in helping us fulfill our mission, empowering all learners to thrive. Thank you. So again, kudos to the town of Upton and the staff that they had in to do the filming. I think it's highly professional, and again, it's super, super important for our parents and for our community to engage in the budget process.
I mean, Joe, it's all of the facts of that are relevant to Mendon as well. If you change the numbers,
absolutely,
it's the same video, right?
Absolutely.
So, is there any way we can piggyback on that for our town meeting?
I think we could probably do some creative editing and throw in some Mendon numbers as well. The husband-wife team that did this live in Upton and they've been, their kids have gone through the system and so on, so I'm sure we could work something out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to new business. I believe we're going to hear from Dr. Cohen with social emotional learning, and where's Dave?
Hi everybody, thanks for having me. Nothing I like more than talking about SEL because we've been doing a lot of work this year in it, particularly recently as needs coming out, so there's lots to talk about. One thing I wanted to begin with is sometimes when we talk about SEL or social emotional learning, it takes on lots of different forms, and what you need to know is when we're doing our district work or implementation involves all of these various categories. And when we meet, we had a SEL district team meeting, it was in the middle of March when we had our PE day, and we brought all of the representatives together, and we focused in on some of the categories that are in this chart. But you're not going to conquer all of these categories in implementation in 1 year. It's really a multi-year process. We have talked about this in the past. It's our second year being members of the Excel network, and the network involves, there are actually 2 cohorts this year. We're in the northern cohort, and we have a team of 10 participants, including teachers, administrators, and counselors that attend. And we've had 4 meetings so far this year. And if you look over to the right, those are the top areas that we focused on in each meeting. So the first meeting was about student agency and empowering students. The second one was about strong community and then positive mindsets and mindful regulation. And all of the topics, they've been walking us through all of the CASEL competencies, and they bring in outside experts, and they also bring in the implementation plans of what schools are doing across the nation. And it's got a lot of research-based practices that they introduce to us. But the best part of these events is the networking part. And so I love the last one that I was at. It was on mindful regulation, and they had an outside trainer come in, share some resources, taught us some strategies, but then we networked and had, kind of like you have here, lots of the different posters from all the different schools, and we learned a lot of different strategies if you talk to different area schools. I'm excited for this Wednesday, May 1st. It's a summit that they're having where they're bringing both cohorts together, and they're inviting actually outside participants as well. So it's going to be a sharing of best practices across the whole state. So we'll get to hear from about 10 more districts as well at that meeting. And we're also going to hear about how they're going to roll out Excel Network next year. They've been changing every year as they're growing the program. And so we'll decide when we hear about what they're going to be offered next year, if it's something we want to continue to benefit from continuing from. We decided to continue this year because it was exactly aligned with our strategic goals around the competencies. And so it's been a nice fit for us.
So we had the opportunity, myself and Maureen, along with our lead nurse and some counselors, just last week to meet with some staff from the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health. They're in the process of reaching out to some specific districts, particularly with ones affiliated with the Excel network, to discuss what are some possible greater connections and what DMH offers for school districts. So we kind of talked about 3 specific areas. One, first and foremost, greater connections for students as far as them having actual clinicians to provide case management and some type of intensive programs, both inpatient and outpatient, for families that qualify, where there's issues with regard to insurance or private pay or so on, or basically socioeconomic challenges. Secondly, which is something that really intrigues me, that they're starting to do more and more districts, is to provide professional development opportunities for staff, and giving staff specific strategies in dealing with managing anxiety, managing their own anxiety, or managing anxiety in students that they have before them. So they've had the opportunity within the last, I'd say, 2 school years, and they've got a lot of data to show some of the successes that they've had with that. And then kind of along the same line, they're also offering parenting programs, different workshops for families, specifically aligned with the piece in managing anxiety and some of the behaviors that go with that. So I think it was a very positive meeting. I think we're probably looking at, for one of our early PD days, probably the one in October, when we offer different workshops, kind of in an ed camp type model of having the folks from DMH available.
Another organization I've been in contact with just recently this past month is the Massachusetts Partnership for Youth. And they have reached out to me because we were sending, let's say, about 10 of our staff members to one of their conferences, and they reached out to let us know that if you're a member and you get a membership fee, you have the ability to send any of your teachers, counselors, staff for free to the conferences, and they offer other services. So you pay a membership for the whole year, but it would probably be worth it considering when I looked into where sending a lot of staff members to some of their conferences. And so what it is a nonprofit organization, and it works with increasing the health and safety of students. They have a lot of speakers that will come out and do presentations for students, for training for staff, and also presentations for parents as well on various topics. And they also have these regional conferences that you can send people to, and they have specific youth programming as well. And you, as a member, you can receive up to 5 free in-service workshops each school year. So if we were to become a member of this group, and then we can bring them in on some of these days, we want to offer some workshops. I know in previous school districts we've had some of the speakers in, so I've seen they've been excellent, and so it's something we're pursuing to learn a little bit more about next year. Today I got to spend the day with our wellness curriculum review team. I don't know if you recall, but we have 2 curriculum reviews going on this year. As the start of our review cycle, so we have social studies, which is met last Friday, and wellness curriculum review team met today. And they're currently looking at the health, wellness, PE, SEL curriculum program. So it's a mixture of our health teachers, PE teachers, and our counselors who are working on it. They are in the final stages of their self-study report. And our goal is to finish the reports for both social studies and for wellness by the end of this year. And then we'd determine if we would give the presentation to share the report with you here at one of our end of year meetings, or if we run out of time, we'll do it right at the beginning of the school year next year. But a piece of it is to say, what are we doing well, to share what our current programming is, but also to identify opportunities for growth and establish some action steps for the next few years. And then the next year, we'd initiate review teams for other areas. But we spent a lot of time on social emotional learning today, did a couple activities with them in addition to their work on the self-study report. And so they've been a great group to work with. We also brought together, I mentioned this earlier, at our March date, our SEL district team. Basically, we've had representatives doing work around different aspects of SEL. Remember that original image covers a lot of different areas. So we have members at our elementary schools and middle schools that are on PBIS committees. They presented on that in the past. We sent some representatives to SEL trainer trainings this year. So we had representatives from each of our schools attending that, and then representatives from our Excel network training. So we brought all of them together to have like a mini summit of our own in March. And the big focus of it was to review our school-wide implementation. We used a rubric, and this is just an example of one tiny aspect of the giant rubric that we went through on that day, where we assessed where we were at each of the buildings, ranking 1 through 4, what proper SEL implementation would be in all the categories. And with that, we're starting to develop some new goals for next year that we can work on. So if you go to the next slide, some of the areas we've already identified, and we're still working on it as well, is formalizing SEL school-based
teams, and that would then come into the district team and make it more formal. To expand the PBI's implementation in data collection at the elementary schools. And we've done some initial work with PBIS at the middle school, but we haven't fully implemented it. And so we would be piloting that at the middle school next year. We also want to talk about increasing communications with parents about various SEL supports and providing resources. And a theme that's definitely popping up, interestingly, not only is it popping up in district, but when I go to my out of district network, so I was at a Blackstone Valley Curriculum Consortium today, same exact thing came up in other area schools around cultivating staff SEL and building their own cultural awareness and competency, mindfulness, self-care, how to manage anxiety themselves so then they can help students. And one goal we want is to have this self-assessment that we did with the smaller SEL team to have a school-wide implementation go out to all the teachers as well, so then we can get feedback on what they are asking for as well for our training for next year. So it's been really productive coming together. I know we'll come together as a group again to continue the work. So I just end with this. This is my favorite new saying. It's not new, but I like to be reminded of it, is that SEL isn't something extra that's being added to your plate, but it really is complete. And you need all of these skills in order for our students to be able to access the learning. And I think when we talked about it about 3 or 4 years ago, when we started talking about SEL, we thought, okay, we're going to add this in or add this program in, but really we're looking to see how we can integrate it in all of our work and really integrate it in our classrooms, in our practices, and our understanding. And it's going to take many years, and we've made a lot of progress, and it was nice to do the school-wide assessment with that group because we could identify, wow, I mean, in some schools we're nailing it in this category, and others we're getting there, and we can see that we are moving the dial as we continue our work. So thank you for that.
This looks fantastic. Do you have a set of goals or milestones that you've set up, or is that part of the action plans we have for the strategy? Is that buried into the action plans, or is this separate? Is this being treated as a separate progress from the action plans that we have coming up?
Do you mean from the strategic plan?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is probably extra. We are already doing all of the things in the action plan, but then we brought all of those members who are doing all those together to say, okay, how well have we progressed, and then what do we want to do next year, and what do we want to dive deeper, or what's next? So we're the members that have been doing all of those steps and participating in those, we brought together for
What you just reviewed for I don't remember which slide number this is, but it's the previous slide to this.
Yeah.
This looks like a fantastic synopsis of the action plan and the milestones that you have set up.
Yeah.
Right.
This is future steps.
Yeah. So it would be really nice to have some sort of timeline associated with this, so we can go back and say we accomplished this. This is what we did.
Yeah.
Because all this stuff looks so important, it would be a shame to have it like.
Oh, I think it
That's the
very
goal.
much will be part of the 2019-2020 action.
Yes.
So
let's do
basically
that.
what I do is pull all of, what progress we made and where they think we need to go, and then we bring it forward, and when we are working on those next action steps, we've already
fantastic.
worked through that process. So that's a big part of
'Cause
having us do
I
that
keep on, when I'm thinking
self-assessment.
about these things, I'm thinking about what can we measure as progress, as some percentage of progress toward our goal. I mean, it almost is, as you said, it's always incremental, it's never ending. I understand that, but is there something that we can highlight as making a goal or achieving or accomplishing something? Is there something we've already accomplished this year that we could highlight? It feels like we're a little, instead of measuring it and saying we achieved something, we're saying this is kind of loosely what we want to accomplish, and it's not set down in our plan. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't have the plan yet.
Yeah.
We're still in it.
But
Don't get me
Still
wrong, this is
developing it.
fantastic. This
But
is
realize in this current year's action plans, Sean, there are plenty of steps that are very measurable, very tangible, and a lot of them kind of speak to some of the work that's been done a priori
Yep.
to this. For example, the many steps in getting PBIS up and running
Yep.
at the 2 elementary schools is
It's
there's
huge.
a
And
lot of
that's where we had
potential. Yeah.
the
That's
greatest
fantastic.
successes when we measured, because when we looked at the rubric and measured school-wide implementation or measured the fact that it's in our strategic plan, I mean, there are certain categories that we have accomplished in the last couple of years. And one of our main goals this year was to build staff understanding just in general, and through the book studies, everyone was identifying that they have this general understanding about it. Now it's about how do we integrate some of the strategies, which is what we've been learning this year in some of the trainings. How do we implement it better in the classroom? And a big piece we're finding out is we need to know how to do it ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what's coming up. And what's I found really interesting is that a lot of other districts are saying the same thing at the meetings. They're saying, well, our teachers need to learn how to do it themselves as well in order to practice it in the classroom. So we're going to try to see how we can give some of those strategies next year.
It's when I started getting involved with all the school committee, I guess you'd call it the meetings and the culture around it. It's really the culture. When I started to realize what social emotional learning actually meant for the students, it's mind-blowing. And unfortunately, I think we tend to bury it in terminology which is not immediately accessible to the general public.
Mm-hmm.
So what you end up saying is, I'll say something like social emotional learning to someone, and their eyes glaze over and they go, "You're talking school speak." But this is incredibly important stuff. This is stuff that impacts our kids' ability to learn and really develop into human beings. So anything we can get out there that really highlights that we're doing great work here and shows that we're making progress according to a plan would be very helpful. I mean, everything you're doing is fantastic, Maureen. I wish we could put it in something that would have a very good impact on our public, so that they know that we're investing in something real here.
Great.
I just had a quick question also. The DMH connection, is that something that we're exploring? Is that like happening? Just had a meeting and we're not sure where it's going?
No, I would say it's definite. There's strong interest in working with us, and we've committed at a minimum to next steps of bringing them in for PD for staff. Also, Carrie Fagan and Leslie McGinnis were with us as well, and as far as them identifying specific cases that they knew of, specific students and families that they'd really like to make that connection for some of their specific clinical programs, that is also a tangible next step that's coming out of it.
As we learned, they can consult with us on student cases and can help with that case management and what resources are out there. And so immediately, Carrie Fagan said, I'd love to be able to connect and connect the people that we talk to with the rest of the counselors, so then when they have student team meetings and need extra supports, they'd be able to consult, which is a great resource that we didn't know existed.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that was great to be able to be in contact with them for that purpose alone.
And that would be like in conjunction with some of the existing resource partnerships
Yeah,
we have in the community?
to be very honest, Vicki, I see it as another piece of the puzzle. I can't honestly say it's a big piece of the puzzle, or is it a really microscopic piece of the puzzle. The opening part of the meeting is the director of the Central Mass office introduced herself to us, and she showed a map of her region. And it was literally like the entire central part of the state. And when you see a map that shows all the outlines of all, she's like, well, yeah, it's a little challenging because it's 62 different communities. And I automatically thought, like, really? I mean, you got to be kidding me. But she spoke very passionately, had a lot of handouts with regard to specific programs. And I think if we try to have very focused, specific functions, again, I think it could be a piece of the puzzle. We're using Riverside a lot. We're using community impact out of Whitensville and so on, but they're also really stretched. And I have no illusion I know DMH is probably also very stretched, but if we can have some specific things that we can plug them into and target them, I think it could be successful.
I just wanted to be clear that it's an additional resource, it's not replacing any of the
No,
work,
absolutely
you know?
not. No.
Additional for sure.
Yeah,
The PD for staff, I think, would be
yeah,
a good piece to,
it's a good start. Yeah.
start with.
Can you say that again, Dorothy? I didn't hear you.
The PD for staff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. It's kind of like the plate under the plate. You know?
Yeah.
It really is. It's like, how do you expect your staff to provide all this fantastic SEL curriculum that's integrated when they're falling apart?
If they're stressed.
If they're stressed.
Because
It's
they're
the plate under the plate. Yeah, I love that that's included. And I agree with your point too, Sean, that this is amazing work that we're doing, and it's integral to all the other things that are on the plate. And we need to get that message out there so parents know we're doing all this amazing work with their students on a daily basis. But then, kind of to your point, Vicki, too, like when there are issues and we need resources, part of this is a big another puzzle piece to make sure that our kids are getting what they need.
Thank you.
All right, next item on our agenda is the approval of a field trip to the Spring Music Festival in Virginia, April of 2020. It's a holdover from the last meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, so you have in your packet probably something a little bit more detailed from the good Mr. Harding for the Dixie Classic, which our students of the concert band, concert chorus, vocal ensemble, wind ensemble, and jazz ensemble, approximately 132 students will be attending next April, in April of 2020, down in Virginia. And the costs are there, along with the tentative schedule.
Do you know how many chaperones are going?
Typically, it would probably be something in the ballpark of about 10 to 12.
And this fits into the budget?
We don't pay for it.
We don't pay for it. It is
This is a field trip.
students pay and also fundraise towards it.
Good.
I mean, there may be a festival fee or something, but that's minor.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
How are they getting there? Is it drive? Is it a bus?
I believe it is a bus. Yes, it's busing.
Motion to approve the Virginia music trip for 1920. I'm sorry, 2019.
2020 might work.
April 2020, okay.
We'll keep it in this century.
Because if they're flying in 1919, it's going to be a big flight.
No, keep it in this century.
All right, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by
Oh, wait, I
saying
have one
aye.
more discussion topic.
Oh.
I just want an
can we-
advertisement
can
here.
we- what- yeah,
Oh, okay,
let's
okay,
just
go ahead.
Approve,
Okay.
Okay, so, all those in favor signify by
I was
saying
here.
aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The trip is approved unanimously. Take it away, Mr. Nicholson.
All right, I would
Two
like to
announcements.
advertise that our students in the wind ensemble have accomplished something very special this year, something we haven't been able to do in our history of the school. It's getting a gold medal at the MICA competition, and they've been awarded a chance, or they've been awarded a time slot to perform at Symphony Hall in Boston, and that's coming up this weekend. It's a public concert. There's no entry fee or admission fee. You can go and see it if you want, and I think it's a fantastic accomplishment, and it's something that really our school stands out at having a music program that excels in almost every way. How many of our ensembles have gotten a gold medal at this point? I think the jazz ensemble's gotten it. Now we have the wind ensemble. It's a really important accomplishment. It's, you know, for lack of a better way, it's like it is like the Super Bowl of wind ensembles. I mean, it's a really special event. So
Absolutely.
That's great.
So just to add, so it'll be at Boston Symphony Hall, and we're slated to go on anytime between 12:50 and 1:20.
And I think there's plenty of very good groups going to be there for the
Yeah.
whole day, so.
And we're on for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, good.
So very
Fantastic.
great experience for our kids. Thanks for bringing that up, Shep.
Okay. Next, we have unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to attend to? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. We were just given the Mass Legislative Bulletin, which you may receive also at your home address, outlining the fiscal year 20 budget proposals that Mass has put forth. And I'm not aware of any other correspondence. Okay, hearing none. Are there other matters not anticipated by this committee 48 hours prior to the posting?
I just wanted to mention that we're heading to the Hill on Wednesday
Yes, our day on the Hill.
to advocate. So any parents that want to contact any of us that have gripes or anything, it'd be very much appreciated.
See if we can get one of those big checks.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Be meeting with legislators at the State House.
And primarily about budget issues, I would expect. So.
Yes.
I think, yeah, 4 of us are attending. All right, and other announcements, things we need to know? And Alice training is coming, or the...
That is tomorrow
overdue-
evening. I believe I just left Blackboard Connect message for, yeah, exactly. I did want to be a little bit of a smart owl. I can do a snow day joke, but I refrained. But really important, tomorrow at 6:30 at MISCO, there will be a parent presentation on the ALICE methodology and basically school safety in general. It's going to be co-presented by both of our school resource officers from both Mendon and Upton. And I think the most important part of the evening is the Q&A session at the end. So it starts at 6:30, MISCO Auditorium.
Excellent.
Excellent.
And we have both communities' town meetings this week, with Upton's being on Thursday night here at 7?
7.
And Mendon's at Misco Hill at 7 o'clock on Friday night. Okay, future agenda items include the MERSD choice openings for 2019 20 on May 13th, and the Mendon Upton Educational Foundation Grant Award winners on May 13th as well. All right. Committee will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.